Interior, Meg's studio, day. A small space made smaller by the collection of items strewn about. Colorful mugs, half-folded laundry, self-help books, a painting of a swan sits on an easel in the corner. We hear rustling and a thud as Meg, 25, storms in from the bathroom. Toothbrush hanging from her mouth, blazer dropped over her shoulder. She struggles to tuck her shirt into her pants while walking.
Shit, 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 shit.
She sets her phone on the table next to a fanny pack and final unemployment notice as she stumbles into the kitchen, rummages through the cupboards, quickly starts a coffee machine. She makes sure the stove is off, then oven. She darts back into the living room, crosses to the AC dial on the wall, off. She glances to a candle sitting on the table, out. Her phone dings. She swivels to grab it, causing toothpaste to drip onto her blazer.
Shit!
She disappears into the bathroom. We see a reminder on her phone, Pilates at 11 a.m. We hear another thud, followed by an ow, as her phone dings with a text message from mom. How do I share a post on Instagram? Meg returns pulling on a pair of sneakers when the swan painting catches her eye. She crosses over, zeroes in on a tiny spot on the swan's wing. She holds her look on the spot, a moment of decision. Then she hastily grabs a paintbrush and dabs a stroke. She eyes the corner of the piece and quickly paints her signature. She takes a moment, trying to remember what she was doing. She scans the room as she twiddles a ring on her finger. Ding! She swoops back into the kitchen, grabs a protein bar from the cupboard, rechecks the oven, off, stove off. She hurries back into the living room, checks the AC dial, off, glances to the candle, out. She stands motionless for a moment, then grabs her phone, pulls up a to-do list labeled interview stuff, scans it, sees pocket folder. She leaps to her desk and picks up pocket folder with a don't forget posted on the front. She straps her fanny pack on and stuffs her phone and protein bar inside. She scurries to the easel and grabs the painting with her free hand while blowing on the paint spot. She checks the clock, then triumphantly turns to the front door, stepping as she's faced with a get gas post-it. She looks to the clock again, then to the key rack. No keys. Her eyes dart around the room, landing on the coffee table. She swipes through papers and mugs when a glimmer of silver catches her eye. She snatches her keys, then restacks the papers, a beat. She scurries back into the kitchen, checks the oven and stove, off, off, darts back into the living room, checks the AC dial, off, candle out. With a final puff of her chest, she exits. The lock clicks, a beat. Then we hear the coffee maker beep. Exterior, side of the road, later. Meg sits on the curb, flipping a hair tie on her wrist back and forth as a AAA technician fills her gas tank.
I should have had 4 miles left. I only drove 3.
AAA tech looks at Meg.
Usually when the gas light comes on, it's time to put in gas.
Meg shakes her head and pulls out her phone. She scrolls through the slew of missed reminders, then opens Instagram. A sponsored ad for a gas can pops up. She grimaces. AAA tech spots Meg's painting in the back seat.
What's that? A goose?
Meg jumps, startled. She looks over the hood.
What?
The picture. Is it a goose?
Oh, no, it's a swan.
AAA tech looks back at the painting, then to Meg.
You sure?
The painting that I painted? Yeah, I'm sure.
A beat. Meg goes back to her phone as AAA tech continues filling up her tank with gas. Then,
what's the difference?
What?
Now, between a goose and a swan.
Oh, the necks and the wingspans and the fact that Natalie Portman would never play a goose. Oh.
Meg looks to the painting.
It's actually inspired by a paddle boat I rode with my dad as a kid. We were paddling and I told him I couldn't wait to get home and tell our fish Goldie about the big fish we saw in the lake. Only I forgot that Goldie had died that morning. That's why he took me to the lake. I cried for 3 hours. It's a coming to terms piece. So.
Ding. New text message from Sebastian. Keep me updated on your interview. Meg's eyes go wide. She checks the time, 11:48 a.m.
Damn it!
She slumps back against the car. AAA tech finishes and walks over holding a clipboard, an awkward beat. Then he slowly places the clipboard under Meg's face. She looks up, grabs a pen, and signs.
Oh, Thanks. Sorry. Thank you.
AAA tech gives her a sympathetic look, then drives off. Meg sighs and gets into interior. Meg's car, continuous. She sees the text from Sebastian, replies, "It was at 11. I missed it. Ding, new text message from Sebastian. What?" Meg closes her eyes and fiddles with the button on her blazer, then buckles her seatbelt and starts the engine. Her phone lights up. Incoming call from Sebastian. She inhales and answers as she backs up her car to leave.
What happened?
Nothing. I had to call AAA and then
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I just ran out of gas.
Gas? Babe,
It shouldn't have happened. I've driven further on the same amount before, so
A beat.
wasn't this your last interview before?
I get kicked off unemployment? Yes. Thank you. I gotta go.
Meg puts her car into drive, then reaches to hang up the phone. We hear Sebastian rummaging around on the other end.
Wait. Isn't this your interview at 1? Don't you do Pilates at 11?
Meg screeches to a halt, her car blocking a driveway. She quickly pulls up an email from Willow Elementary School with the subject, interview request. She scans it and sees May 21st at 1 p.m.
Oh my God. It is at 1.
You owe me a drink.
I can't believe I missed that.
I can. Get it, Miss Meg.
Click. Meg checks the time, 12:02 p.m. Exhales her relief. She wipes her eyes and unzips her fanny pack, takes out the protein bar and unwraps it. A melted glob of chocolate lands on her blazer. Meg groans as a hoodie man on a bike pedals up next to her.
Hey, baby. Want a piece of this?
He bites his lip as he rings the bell on his bike. Meg rolls down her window.
Oh yeah. I
Fuck
really love
you!
He speeds off. Meg screams in frustration. Interior, Meg's car, later. We see Willow Elementary School through the rear window as Meg's FaceTimes her mom. Lorraine, there's a burger wrapper and some rogue fries on the passenger seat. We see a straw wrapper twisted into a brooch pinned over the chocolate spot. The clock reads 12:36 p.m.
You think they looked up my age? If you didn't give birth to me, how old would you think I was?
They wouldn't have called you in if they weren't interested in you. And age discrimination is illegal.
Meg chews her lip as she glances out the window. Lorraine squints to see the straw pin.
Is that a ribbon for cancer?
What? Oh. Yes.
Meg takes a sip from her soda, then quickly speaks.
Oh God, what about the gap on my resume? You think they'll accept doing my best while living through a voluntary crisis in the... Sorry, living through an involuntary generational economic crisis?
Honest. You're a hard worker, no matter what your resume says.
Yeah.
Meg gets distracted, noticing a random bruise on her arm.
How did I...
You okay?
Yeah. Sorry, what was I talking about?
Your hardships as a millennial.
Oh, yeah. I should have gotten my master's. Do I even know anything to teach these kids?
Honey, they're 6. Half the job is going to be them asking you which paints make the color poop.
Meg contemplates, then nods.
Okay. Yeah. Age discrimination is illegal. I'm a professional. Poop.
Interior, school, front office, later. Meg sits at a kiddie table coloring across from Devin, 6, waiting for his parents. He stops coloring to eye Meg's painting.
Are you a famous painter?
Well, in my sorority, I was voted most likely Banksy. So yeah.
Devin's eyes widen with excitement as he returns to art. Meg smiles.
What are you drawing?
A tree. I like trees.
It's a good tree.
What's yours?
Meg holds up a drawing of a herd of sheep wearing ties led by a large green dollar sign.
Capitalism.
Devin gives a confused look. The receptionist stands from behind the desk.
Meg Fisher?
Meg and Devin look up at the same time.
Yes, Thank you.
As she stands to leave, she bumps the kitty table, sending crayons scattering across the table. Devin frantically searches through them.
Wait, what color makes brown?
Brown? What are you trying to color?
No, it's where the branch is on the tree.
Meg squints her eyes at him as she starts to walk away. Devin pouts. She quickly turns and dramatically covers her mouth as she speaks.
Orange and blue.
Devin smiles and grabs the crayons. Interior, school, principal's office. Moments later, Meg sits, her bright clothes in stark contrast to the mutely colored office. As she surveys the office, her eyes land on a nameplate on the desk. Mrs. Hazel, principal. She tenses when the door opens and Mrs. Hazel, uptight, no nonsense, enters. She takes her seat.
I apologize for that.
Meg gives a nod. She glances from Mrs. Hazel to her painting, then back to Mrs. Hazel, a beat.
It's a swan.
Mrs. Hazel examines the painting, then looks to Meg's resume.
It's beautiful.
Meg's eyes flicker. She shuffles in her seat.
Thank you. It's actually inspired by.
I see. You've worked many various jobs over the past few years. Is there a reason for the employment gap here?
Yes. Yes. I've worked a lot of jobs, but none of them have been the right fit. I'm a painter, not an executive assistant person, or a numbers person, or a desk person.
I see. Well, luckily, this job is standing all day and painting all day.
Meg forces a smile, her leg bouncing against her chair.
Do you have experience working with children?
Actually, yeah, I.
Wait. Meg Fisher. Megan Fisher?
Megan inhales, sits still.
Yes.
You were a student when I first started teaching here. 3rd grade, was it?
4th, yes.
Mrs. Hazel gives a small smile as Meg shifts in her seat.
I remember things were always a little more difficult with you. Head in the clouds, doodling away.
Mrs. Hazel looks to the swan painting.
I see not much has changed.
Meg nods.
How is your mother doing? I remember she always was.
Good. Making her way.
Well, that's good. I remember you were always 2 peas in a pod. When she could remember to pick you up from school, that is.
A long pause. Mrs. Hazel scans Meg's resume. Amused at herself, she looks to Meg's painting.
So,
I have ADHD.
The color drains from her face. Mrs. Hazel purses her lips.
I had ADHD then, and I have ADHD now.
I see. And you really feel that this job would be the best?
Yes, I feel that this job would give me the opportunity to share with the students what I know, what I've learned, each of them.
She flips her ring back and forth, then notices a dried paint smudge on her wrist.
Art class was the one place I could be myself and not get yelled at. I put my whole heart into my work and feel that I could support the kids in a way that others can't. Maybe help a student who has their head in the clouds, not just dismiss or reprimand them for it.
She sits still for a moment, then pulls 2 envelopes from her purse, hands them to Mrs. Hazel.
These are letters of recommendation from one of my college professors and an art collector I interned for last year. He said that I had an eye for things that usually went unnoticed.
Mrs. Hazel sits pensively, hands folded over Meg's resume. For a moment, we only hear the ticking of the clock. Then Meg clears her throat.
Thank you for your time, Mrs. Hazel.
She grabs her fanny pack, stands. Mrs. Hazel remains seated. Meg picks up her painting.
Did I mention this was a coming to terms piece?
She exits, closing the door behind her. Mrs. Hazel sits silently before picking Meg's resume back up to read it. Interior, Meg's car later. Meg sits behind the wheel, crying. Interior, Meg's studio day. Meg gathers dirty dishes and mugs from around the apartment. We see a to-do list on the coffee table, her laptop open to jobs listings. A new canvas with the outline of a lion sits on the easel. Ding, Meg's phone lights up on the couch. She crosses to see a new Instagram notification. Lorraine shared your post. Ding, new text message from mom. I did it. Meg sighs, sets her phone down, and moves back to the kitchen. Ding, we hear Meg's phone from the living room.
Got it, Mom. Good job.
Meg continues putting away dishes. We close in on the phone as an email from Willow Elementary School pops up. We scan to see the subject line, offer, art teaching position, and cut to black.
Yay. I just want to say thank you, everyone. I am so pumped. It's so nice to put faces to these people that, you know, have been in my heart and my living room and all my drafts of scripts for so long. So fantastic job, everyone. I'm so excited to work with all of you. And thank you again so much to our contributors. So happy to have you here. And we can't wait to have you continue to be on this journey with us, seriously. And thank you to my crew members, to our trying crew also who joined us. So glad that you guys were able to see it before we got to set. I can't wait to work on this with you and with everybody. It's going to be awesome. So thank you.